Hello everyone and welcome to Season 5, Episode 30 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in NXT history with match number 21 on our list, which is the NXT title match between the champion Kevin Owens and the challenger Finn Balor from the WWE Beast in the East event held on July the 4th, 2015. This was basically the NXT offer match on the main roster WWE card. So since the inception of the WWE network, WWE's dabbled a little bit with these kind of house show specials on the network. They've been a mixed bag. They've done the Starrcade specials, and they've done, a special for Madison Square Garden and some others that, really weren't anything special. They did the Roadblock event that I actually was at live in Toronto. That was pretty mediocre, aside from a great main event with Triple H and Ambrose. And they did this Beast in the East special. So this was, from Japan. It was from Sumo Hall. Although it was named after Brock Lesnar, he squashed Kofi Kingston in 90 seconds, if I remember correctly. So really the main attraction, I think, on this show was this NXT title match, which was kind of cool. These guys had a match in March on television that appeared, earlier in our countdown, which was a great TV title match. In that one, Owens really dominated for the most part. He controlled the pace. He played, mind games with Balor. He utilized the chin lock to great effect. It was really Kevin Owens' match, with Balor getting in these little, blips of offense throughout and ultimately coming up short at the end. So this match being the rematch, we have Balor in the demon persona. So, that immediately kind of ups the ante a little bit on this thing, when he would bring out that persona for big matches. But they also do a really good job of utilizing the setting as part of the story of the match, which is just tremendously cool. So the deal here that they kind of established through TV is that this is happening in Japan. Finn Balor, long run in New Japan, loves Japan, lived fully in Japan. Japan is his place. Those are his people. Kevin Owens, some brief tours of Dragon Gate, doesn't like Japan. Culture shock, hated living there, doesn't respect the place or the people. So you have this as kind of this homecoming for Finn Balor, and you have, Kevin Owens as this grumpy guy being forced to return to Japan to defend his title, on Japanese soil. And it created a really cool atmosphere for this match. And like I said, it bleeds into the story so well. And, WWE's done some television episodes, from venues in Japan before, but this was kind of the most, really, I'll say like a pro-res feel that they've ever kind of, established on their television program. And, that has to do with it being in Sumo Hall, famous venue, a little bit of a smaller venue compared to some of the others that they've run. They have streamers on the entrances for this match. They have, the women bringing out flowers for both competitors. They really give it that traditional vibe. Kevin Owens is so great. He throws the flowers and completely destroys them, and it's just so disrespectful. And again, it works because it puts the crowd that realistically was going to be behind Balor anyways, but it really cements them, in his corner throughout this match. And, I talked about in their initial encounter how Owens really controlled almost all of that match. And they're really smart here because this match plays off of that one so beautifully. And it starts with Balor just immediately, bringing the pace and going on offense. He blasts Owens with John Woo right at the bell, goes up top for the coup de grace, the double stomp. Owens bails to the floor, and he follows out with a big crossbody to the floor on him. He hits the shotgun kind of John Woo drop kick into the guardrails. Kevin Owens is trying to do whatever he can to just get out of the way and get out of dodge. And Balor keeps bringing the fight. Balor's so good as a scrappy, just underdog fighting babyface, just fighting bigger guys. And we've, seen that in his matches with Samoa Joe, especially, where he has really pretty good stiff punches and stuff like that, that it comes across as this little guy just throwing whatever he has at a bigger opponent. And they really establish that here in the ongoing. But Kevin Owens, eventually cuts him off with the go home driver, gets to, pummels him away. But then this is where, we talk about the head games and that mind control in the first match that Owens has. This is, where it really hits the opposite, where Owens becomes so distracted with the Japanese crowd. Again, playing into that story that he feels uncomfortable in this environment defending his title, and he's, constantly jaw-jacking to the crowd and stopping what he's doing to insult the crowd, and, he's getting distracted throughout this match. And whenever he does, it allows Balor to get these little openings and chip away further and further and further at Kevin Owens' armor. Finally, a good portion of this match, Owens gets that chin lock, that he was able to use so successfully in the original match. But Balor just constantly keeps at it with the speed, and it leads to, Owens again going back to the chin lock, but again, getting distracted. He bounces off the ropes a bunch of times, does the traditional heel spot where it looks like he's going to do something cool, but he grabs that slow chin lock instead. There's a point where, again, Balor starts to get the offense rolling, and Owens, starts busting out John Cena's offense. He hits the flying shoulder block and the twisting kind of Blue Thunder style powerbomb, and, does the you can't see me in the 5-knuckle shuffle. Owens had just recently debuted on the main roster. I'm not positive, but I feel like this was one of those kind of unexpected call-ups where he was the NXT champion. It, seemed like he was in the midst of this big kind of juggernaut run as the champion, and then, whoever, Vince McMahon or whoever it was, decided, we're going to bring him up and feud him with John Cena. So he appeared, as the NXT champion on WWE television. He, beat Kevin Owens, or beat John Cena, relatively clean, and they had a great, run of 3 matches on consecutive pay-per-views in the summer of 2015 that were really, really great, and took John Cena into deep waters a little bit and almost kind of had him see more of an indie worker. He was busting out, all of this crazy offense and stuff like that, he would later do again with AJ Styles later on, and it was just a really fun series of matches, and as someone that's always been a Kevin Steen fan, it was really cool to kind of see him get that moment. But, he incorporates that offense in here. He goes for the attitude adjustment, but, again, he's playing around, right? He's playing to the crowd with all of this stuff, and what does Balor do? He finds that opening, and he counters that into a double stomp. He gets, a Pele kick, he gets his flip dive, he gets a double stomp while Owens is hunched over like he did in the first match. He hits the 1916, he only gets a 2 off of that, but he starts rolling with all of the big offense, and this is where this match really turns great. It really, builds into just big moves, kickouts, and all of the drama that you would expect from a high-level main event quality match for the NXT Championship. Balor misses the coup de grace. Owens hits a big German and a cannonball. He hits a move that he doesn't do very often in the WWE, but he basically teases the package pile driver, which he's never hit in WWE television. I'm surprised they haven't let him do it now, to be quite honest, because we have guys doing Canadian destroyers and reverse Ranas and everything like that, so I don't really see how the package pile driver is much more dangerous than those moves. But he would do the package pile driver lift and then kind of turn it into like a side slam, like almost like an Emerald Flosion sort of thing. So he busts that out, only gets a 2 off of that, and he goes for the pop-up powerbomb. And in their first match, they build a lot of spots around people hanging off the ropes. So Irish whip in, and as you're coming back, you kind of hang on, and they, would do this, build it around, Finn's drop kick and everything like that. So they do the callback with that here, where Balor hangs onto the ropes when Kevin's expecting to pop him up. He nails him with the sling blade. Finn Balor goes up top for the coup de grace. It gets cut off by Owens. Owens, kind of does the point to the brain taunt, taunting the Japanese crowd once again. It allows Finn to hit him with an ensiguri, hit the coup de grace. It seemed like the finish. It was only good for 2. Really excellent near fall that they used here. Again, we just go big moves. Owens ends up hitting, the big fisherman's buster off the top that he does. That's only good for 2. Actually, my apologies. They tease that move, but he ends up instead he hit that in the original match, but here he hits like a Finley roll off the second instead for 2. Balor gets the Bloody Sunday, which was awesome and got a big pop. That was the first time he'd used, that move on NXT television. He would normally do the reverse, right? The kind of safer 1916, but he, nails the traditional Bloody Sunday from New Japan. So that was awesome and a great near fall. Finn runs into a super kick at one point when he's going for John Woo, and Kevin Owens busts out a sleeper suplex. Kobashi style. And again, we're in Japan. They're busting out all of these big moves. It's awesome. But that only gets him 2. And Owens at this point, you can feel like he's kind of just getting a little bit frustrated, and he starts slapping Balor in the head and telling him, you can't beat me, you can't beat me. He goes for the pop-up powerbomb, and Finn kind of jumps over the top of him, nails him with a big lariat that turns him inside out, hits him with John Woo, blasts him with a basement dropkick, heads up top, hits the coup de grace for the second time. It's enough for the 3 count, and we get the big-time title change, in this unique setting in Japan. Sends Kevin Owens on his merry way to the main roster here, although these guys would square off again for one final encounter at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn in what was a pretty good ladder match. This really kind of felt like the swan song for Owens. I don't think anybody doubted that this match would be a title change, but just because, going in, that all of the stars are aligning and this would be Finn Balor's moment, it didn't make it any less satisfying to get to see that moment that, I think at the time we were all ready for. This match is excellent. These guys have both went on record to say that they love wrestling each other. They think they're great opponents for each other. I absolutely agree. Tremendous chemistry. And they really got to show it for, I'll say they're 3 matches, although I think the 2, plain singles matches are a lot better than the ladder match in Brooklyn. They had 3 really, really good matches in 2015 that did a lot to establish Finn Balor as the new guy in NXT, and gave, Kevin Owens this really memorable run as the champion before he transitioned to the main roster. You can catch this match, of course, on Peacock. If you're international, it's on the WWE Network still. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.